Hello, welcome back. This is Calculus by Dr. Oz. Today we're going to go through an exercise where we're going to find a limit of a given sequence. In fact, the end term is provided to us. And we're going to use all the tools that we learned in the beginning of the calculus to find those limits. And we will try this time not to rely on your calculator, but we're going to mostly use analytic tools. But at the end, we can always use a calculator to verify the result coming out of your calculator. All right, let's hit the road. All right, let's start with an. So we have a very special type of a sequence. So whenever we see -1 to the n in the description of the sequence, we got to be careful because let's just list a few terms of the sequence just to see what the behavior, what the pattern looks like. So when n equals 1, this will be like -1 to the power of 1 divided by 1 squared. In fact, it is equal to 1 plus -1 divided by 1, and that is 0 divided by 1. Obviously, it's 0. So the very first term of the sequence is 0. What if I have n equals 2? And in that case, then -1 squared is, in fact, 1. So 1 plus 1 is going to be 2. So 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. So it's non-zero. A2 is non-zero, and it's 1/2. Okay. Let's look at let's look at A3, which is 1 plus -1 cubed over 2 cubed. And we're going to be patient here just to see what the terms look like. All right, so cubic power of -1 is still -1. So it tells me that the top becomes 0, 0, 0 divided by 2 cubed is always 0. So apparently, when the index here is odd numbers, then we get 0 because the top becomes always like 1 plus -1. So that's an interesting behavior. So when n is odd, okay, an is always 0. That's one thing that we can deduce right away. And secondly, let's also write n equals 4 here. 1 plus -1 to the 4th divided by 2 to the 4th. And that is always 2 divided by 2 to the 4th. Okay, so that's also an interesting pattern here that, you know, the top, when n is even, the top is always 2. The top is always 2. And the bottom is the same as what you have here. Okay? So in other words, this is 2 to the power of 1, and the other one is like 2 to the power of 2n. So in total, you have 1 over 2 to the power of n minus 1 by using the properties of exponentials. Okay? So there are two things, again, I can deduce. The tops are always 2, as you see, and the bottoms are sort of like governed by what n is. And then n is even, so it could be 2, 4, 6, 8, and on and on and on. So eventually, a n becomes 1 over 2 to the n minus 1. So depending on the oddness or evenness of n, so we always go like one number and then jump down to 0. Another number, jump down to 0. Another number, jump down to 0, because the numbers go like odd, even, odd, even, odd, even. There we go. So these are the table of sample values together with the graph here. So as you see that there's always like jumps going on. It goes up, down, as you see. So, but eventually everything sort of like approaches 0. Okay, you see like when n is odd, it's 0, and n is even those numbers are approaching 0. So in other words, I can also sort of like confirm my result in terms of the squeeze theorem, because here ANs are always positive, in fact non-negative to be correct, because AN could be possibly 0 for odd numbers of n, and ANs are also less than or equal to 2 over n squared, okay, because this number is less than or equal to 1. It could be minus 1 or 1. When it's 1, it becomes its maximum. So it's this whole AN is less than 2 over n squared. This tells me that I can use a squeeze theorem because the outer sequences are 0 and 2 over n squared. And I know that the limit behaviors of those are all 0. Since the outer limits approach 0, this implies that the inner limit is 0. This is me using an analytic approach like a squeeze theorem. So if you don't remember that, please check my lecture notes. Squeeze theorem. So essentially the values of the sequence are bounded by 0 from below and then 2 over n squared from above. And by passing the limits, outer limits take us all the way to 0, so the inner limit has to be 0, and then this is sort of like the graphical proof and table proof of that, and this is sort of like the analytic proof of this result. All right, for part B, we have AN equals e to the n over 4 to the n. So what we're going to do is here is just to rewrite AN as, since the exponents are the same, I'm going to use some algebra properties to write it as like e over 4 to the power of n. And as you see that e is a number close to 2.71, and e divided by 4 is a number less than 1. So e divided by 4 is a number less than 1. And you're using a number to the power of n, that number is less than 1. So we know from calculus that e over 4 to the power of n has to approach 0. We can use some other analytic tools to prove the same result. Let's see what's going on here. We listed all n values here, and these are the corresponding AN values. I tried to keep as many decimal places as I can. But as you see that when n goes bigger and bigger, the powers are approaching to 10 to the negative 9. So this tells us that by looking just even the table, this tells us that AN approaches 0. And from the graph, we can observe the same type of behavior because we just plot those points. As you see that the values are approaching 0. All right, let's look at part C. We have n sine 1 over n. Let's see what we can do with this. First of all, what happens, like we're trying to sort of like guess what the limit could be. What happens if we pass the limit as n approaches infinity? So, well, here you have infinity times sine 1 over a large number, which is going to take us all the way to 0. So this is almost like infinity times 0 type indeterminate form that we dealt with in Calc 1. I just wanted to remind you the use of the L'Hopital's rule, because when you have this kind of indeterminate form, what we do in general is that to convert this description of the sequence into either 0 over 0 or infinity over infinity type indeterminate form. So we're just going to rewrite that. Let's just do it real quick. So we have, let's say, sine 1 over n. So I'm going to write this term as 1 over n in the bottom. So in other words, now I converted this expression into a rational expression where I have 1 over n in the bottom, because we generally do, what we generally do once we have a rational number in the bottom, we just sort of like flip this over. So 1 over n flips over as n. So the resulting value is n times sine 1 over n. But this way, writing this expression here this way allows us to use the L'Hopital's rule, because sine 1 over n is already converging to 0, and the bottom is always 0 because it's 1 over infinity, so it converges to 0. So now I can use the L'Hopital's rule. And what was the L'Hopital's rule? We just take the derivative of the numerator and denominator separately. So why don't we use the chain rule for that? So it's like 1 over n prime. So the derivative of the inner part, which is minus 1 over n squared, times cosine 1 over n. And this is all divided by the derivative of 1 over n, which is, again, minus 1 over n squared. Okay, so this way I can divide these guys out. So then I have limit of cosine 1 over n left here. Okay, let me just erase those. Okay, so, well, as n approaches infinity, 1 over infinity approaches 0, right? This part goes to 0, and cosine 0 is just 1, simply 1, okay? So cosine 0 is 1, so this implies that the limit of n sine 1 over n should be equal to 1. All right, here is the table of sample values together with the graph of those points. As you see that as n increases, the corresponding values approach 1. And we can observe it from the graph. And that also lines up with our analysis that limit of n sine 1 over n is equal to 1, and it came out of the L'Hopital's rule. All right, to sum up, what we have done today is just to look at the nth term of the given sequence to deduce something about its limiting behavior, and we mostly used the analytical tools to start with, and we sort of like avoided listing a table of sample values in the beginning, but more relying on to analytical approaches that we learned in Calc 1, involving the use of the squeeze theorem or the L'Hopital's rule, or just simply passing the limit. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye.